All right, let's do another Q&A. First question from Pad. Do you know what kind of birds are in the background of your videos? I don't actually know the names of birds all that well. I know I've seen parrots around the place, with colourful birds. I reckon it's a few parrots doing the singing. And then whatever the normal birds are. I don't think it's kookaburras. I think kookaburras are quite big. Somebody says here kookaburra. Shahir Sao says it might be a kookaburra. I don't know, it could be, I don't know. But I think kookaburras are big. Sunny Boy the Forgetful says, hey Van, your thoughts on cold showers. People talk about health benefits of them, but any benefits you personally experience with cold showers? Man, I've done a lot of cold showers in my time. I think there was a stretch of about 6 months that I just did straight cold showers, and it was during winter here as well. Around that time, I learned about cold showers. I learned about how it can increase your testosterone, how it can improve your hair, your sleep, your mood, thinking, all that. So that's why I did it. Basically, the biggest benefit that I felt was mental. You know, felt really alert, really alert. It also kind of felt like I was really confident that I can overcome that stress. And I remember the first time I went into the cold shower, you know, you come in and you turn it on and you come in and out. And then eventually I kind of learned to just turn it on, you know, walk in, get underneath it, bang it on cold, deal with it for the next minute or two, hyperventilating, and then you're good. So I think the benefits for me have been mental. I don't know about testosterone. I don't know about the sleep and all the other stuff. For me, it was just the clarity of mind. Like I felt like I was, I don't know, just calmer, like less stressed, that kind of thing. Where are we going now? There's chats going on in some of these questions, so I struggle to kind of see what the questions are. Pat again says, hey Van, do you still feel like a kid or do you feel like an adult? I imagine it goes back and forth. I'm 29 and a lot of times I still feel like a kid. I don't necessarily think feeling like a kid is a bad idea. For some reason I feel like if you just always feel like an adult, it's boring. It's, I don't know, you're just kind of less happy. Because if you think about, you know, your childhood, and certainly for me, like when I was a kid, I felt so many good memories, you know, like it was always about fun. It was always about what's the next thing we can do. With an adult, you know, mindset, you're always kind of feeling like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? Rather than what do I want to do next? So I think we all should have moments throughout the day where we feel like a kid, you know, playing video games. I certainly kind of sometimes feel like a kid when I'm training. You feel that that happiness within, like you just feel so satisfied doing something that's not so serious. You know, being serious and all that is good, but you also want to, you know, sometimes be escaping that reality of worry. You know, what am I supposed to do? What are my responsibilities? All that stuff. So, you know, I get what you mean by this question, and I guess the more, you know, time goes on, the less I feel like a kid, which is, you know, I'm not necessarily happy about that because I feel like we all have a kid inside us, and the more you entertain that kid, the happier you generally are. You know, the thing that's kind of popped into my mind now is, you know, more money, more problems. It's kind of the same type of mentality. You know, people think that having all of these other things, money, resources, all of that is really good, but with those things comes responsibilities. Kind of like becoming an adult. You think, oh, sick, you know, when I'm 20, I'll have a car, I'll have a house, I'll have a girl, I'll have all that. With that comes responsibility, and sometimes the net gain is not clear. It might be a net negative because of these responsibilities. You know, certainly when you meet a girl and a few years down the track you have kids, the relationship morphs into something that wasn't so apparent initially. You know, it's great, but there's a responsibility. You're not just living for yourself now. You're living for a whole bunch of other people, which is it's great. But also that responsibility dampens some of that effect. You can't just run around the world doing whatever you want. Pat says also, what piece of equipment do you want next? To be honest with you, man, like I try and stay clear of that type of thought. I don't want to buy new equipment. I've made mistakes in the past where I've bought pieces of equipment and I've used it for a week and then I forget about it. You guys know how I rotate exercises. My thoughts evolve, and as the thoughts evolve, I move on from previous thoughts and previous exercises, and then all of a sudden I have this piece of equipment at home which is taking up valuable space and is just annoying me. So, I recently got heated up again about the 45 Hyper. I wanted to buy it again. I had one years ago, used it a lot. Same thing, I decided to do something else. Got tired of walking around it. It's a single car space garage. So I wanted to got rid of it. Bought it for like $150, sold it for like $50. So I don't want to go down there again. I think you need basic stuff at home. Barbell plates, rack, bench, I got that. After that, if you want to experiment, go to the gym and experiment with the gym. It will take something very, very large, monumental for me to buy a piece of equipment. A lot of you guys have been saying, why don't you buy the SSB, the bar, safety squat bar. I'm not buying anything that I'm not in love with or something that is not a staple. I don't think the SSB is going to be a staple in my life, even though I've never tried it. I might love it. If I do, then you kind of think about buying one. I just don't have enough space at home. Shahir Sao says, good girl, bad girl machine. Good girl, bad girl, every day one. It's funny. Really, really funny names for some of these for this machine, but it's actually a freaking amazing machine. Not so much the bad girl, but the good girl. Like the adductors are a huge part of squatting and movement in general. Like, so if you can get some extra low expense work into the adductors, I think it's great. But I did look this up. I don't know whether you guys have ever looked it up. It's freaking expensive, man. To get a good girl, bad girl machine, man, that's a lot of money. In fact, most machines are either a good girl or the bad girl. Like, you don't have to. Freaking expensive. I don't even know why some of these pieces of equipment are so expensive. Like, you're looking at like 4 or 5 grand. Unreal. King Bishi says, not a lifting related question, but just curious on your thoughts regarding how the world is today and how you see it being in the next 5 to 10 years. I can't tell if there is just loads of negativity pushed by the media or the world is actually going to shit like they make it seem. Ah, man. There certainly is a lot of negativity in front of us, isn't there? You turn on any screen, whether you watch your news or whatever form of media you consume, there seems to be a lot of negativity. However, when can you think of a time in history, modern history, where there wasn't trouble? I feel like every generation sensationalizes, what is it? Sensationalizes, what's the word? Sensationalizes, can't think of the freaking word now. But every generation makes a big deal out of the present. It is pretty bad right now what's happening in the world, recent events with COVID and government's reactions to how they dealt with COVID, Ukraine, Russia war, ongoing trouble in Middle East, same old story with Africa, starvation en masse, poor living conditions all around the world, political tensions everywhere. This stuff goes on and on. That's certainly some of the troubles of today. But when hasn't there been trouble? In the 90s, there was trouble. In the 2000s, there was trouble. In the 90s, there was lots of bloodshed. I mean, the reason why I'm in Australia is because of that bloodshed. Okay, go back to 80s. Post-Cold War, those tensions after World War II. That was a scary time. Two freaking countries are there, arming themselves up to their teeth, thinking about or threatening to destroy the world with a push of a button. You go back further, World War II, we know what happened there. A bit further, before that, the Great Depression before that, World War One, Vietnam, after World War Two. There seems to be trouble always, but encompassing all of that, I feel like there is, I don't want to get too conspiracy theory on you guys, but there seems to be a lot of profit, there seems to be a lot of reason for the media to bombard us with negativity all the time, with fear. Because if you fear some sort of authority, if you fear some sort of big thing happening, then you just end up being a good little boy or girl, and you continue to go to work and you don't rebel against the status quo. I feel like there's a certain element to that as well. Like there's always negativity. You know, there was COVID, everything we saw on TV in Australia, COVID. The moment Ukraine got invaded, COVID is not a problem anymore. All the restrictions started lifting. Russia, Putin, nuclear. It's like there's always something that they want to keep throwing at us. We're always shit scared of COVID dying because you took a breath next to your neighbor. Okay, you're not dying from that. Okay, so it's definitely the nuclear bombs that are going to kill you. It's always something, man. It's always something, and I think it's always going to be something to talk about, something to get scared of. So in a sense, I feel like it's not as bad as it seems, because there's never been a better time, I feel. There's always trouble, man. There's always trouble. It's human nature. We always are looking for a way to kill each other, kill ourselves. It's always been the case. So I always tell my mates, we talk about these topics all the time, and I'm like, okay, I'm not saying Russia and Ukraine is a happy, story. It's not a happy story, but there's always been a negative story that is happening. I don't know. It just depends what you want to consume. All of a sudden, it's a really, really scary time. But what about Middle East, man? What about the deaths in Middle East that got really hot on initially? They got their political advancements that they wanted, and then it died down. The deaths continued, the trouble continued over there, but they didn't report on it. It was something else. So, look, I don't think it's as bad as they make it sound. Look, it's not good, but I don't think you need to panic and you need to get worried more so than normal. AS Lachenko, do you have any neck, upper back, shoulder pain from bar weight during back squat? How do you deal with it? Been doing barbell pin squats, back squats, and after 3 weeks it's becoming really painful. You must be doing something wrong, man, because there is a shelf there, there is a position there, like I could put a ton if I could hold it, if I could tolerate it. That wouldn't be the limiting factor. It would probably be my core and freaking my leg strength. But there is, after a little while, you develop like I don't know how to explain. It's like a little shelf. Like you don't want to put it on top of the traps. You're not squeezing the shit out of the traps. There's like a little thing right behind the traps. I don't know like how to explain it, but there's a position there. So if you're feeling pain, something's not right. You're not doing something right. So keep experimenting with that until you get it right. That's what I would say. What next? Alpha Male says, yeah bro, have suffered chronic neck pain for the last 3 years. Turns out I had weak posterior neck muscles, so doing reverse neck hypers really helps. Reverse neck hypers. I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's any pressure on your neck. The bar doesn't sit on your neck. If you sit on your neck, that's way too high. I've never had any neck trouble. I've never had any shoulder trouble squatting. I think that the trouble happens. Well, maybe that's the case. Oh, you said shoulder pain. I'm hoping you're referring to high bar. With high bar, I don't think there should be any pain at all. With low bar, I can see shoulder trouble and elbow trouble happening. But with high bar, the thing's sitting on top of you. So I don't really have any experience with that side of things. I think those are the questions that I've seen so far that I can make out from the chat. I guess moving forward, try not to comment on questions because it kind of makes it hard for me to screenshot and read them all. The camera that I'm using, the camera that I'm using to record this is my own phone, and what I do is I go on there and I go on Discord, screenshot, send it to my wife's phone, and then I use it like that. So it can get kind of messy, kind of working out. So don't have a chat in the Q&A questions section of the channel, or the Q&A questions channel. Just pop your questions there and I'll try and get to them. I say weekly, but it's probably fortnightly. All right, guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.